Hola, hola. Hello.
All right, got everything you need. The waters. All right. All right, Thomas, I got a little intro piece I'm going to do here. Nice. Little bio I wrote on you. Pick for the gram. Love it. Love it. No, you're good. You're good. Okay. Yeah. You can say what's up. Can you hear yourself? Or you want to be a little louder? Or what are you thinking?
I can hear my... Maybe just a little louder. So I'm a diva. Just a baby bit. There we go.
Right there.
Perfect.
Okay, sweet. All right. Hello, miners, and welcome to the 8th episode of Mining in the Foothills, where I am on the search for dialectic gold with doers from around the Midwest. So I'm Wes from Wally Opus, and my guest today is Thomas Bernardin, a filmmaker from Southern Indiana with over 15 years of experience in film and video production. He has made films for brands like Be Fit, which is formerly Bob's Gym, The Tidy Home, The Boys and Girls Club, and he's told the cinematic stories of artists like Lash Larue, Christa Wells, The Strangers, and most recently, our mutual buddy, Cooper, who we're just talking about.
Yes. Thomas
is currently directing and spearheading a crowd-funded indie film titled Factors, which is being shot on 16mm film and set for release later this year. And speaking from personal experience, Thomas is a highly detailed, very enthusiastic, and top-notch filmmaker who's a true joy to work with. Along with his company, Honest Film Stories, Thomas is based right here in Evansville, Indiana. Thomas, thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
How was the bio?
Thank you for... I was just soaking it in. I was like...
was it accurate?
I think that's the most accurate thing I've ever... I'm like, wow, that's me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. That was... Dude, you did your due diligence on that. That was...
It's all based off
fantastic.
It's all based off of a little...
The interwebs.
Website research mixed with some Instagram digging. So it's not...
Probably found some good pictures.
I did, yes. Deep in there. But I mean, I always, and I'm not trying to sit here and whatever about the bio, but it's just, I dive back and then I write it and then I'm like a little bit like, I hope it's accurate. But then that's become sort of a thing. It's like, I'm just going to throw it out there and correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
because
man,
I'm a one-man squad over here.
You're squadding it. You didn't miss anything. Like that's, I mean, not that there's like a whole big bunch to tell, but yeah.
But you have a nice little portfolio now.
Well, no, it's
growing.
It's growing. Yeah, it's making videos and films in Southwest Indiana. So
that's right. Let's dive in. Let's go back a little bit. So for those of the listeners who have not heard of you, give us a
people
quick...
that haven't heard of me?
There might be 3 or 4, but most of them probably have.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Which is funny because I was just saying this on the last podcast. I'm like, for people who listen to this podcast and don't like The Strangers, I feel sorry for them because we talk about them all the time.
Yeah,
so we've definitely brought your name up a couple times.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've interviewed all the strangers I have not interviewed Teelan yet. He's on my list. And then the drummer. And then I interviewed Cooper and we talked about you and stuff. So,
dude, I need to, that one's up. I need to listen to that one. That one's
yes, I'll send you that link to that one so you can, if you want to check it out.
Definitely.
So for those listeners who have not heard of you, give us a quick pitch background on your history, your upbringing, and then how it led to you first picking up a camera.
Yeah.
And did you always make films growing up? Has this been going on forever, or and at what point did you really choose to get into this as your career? Like, this is what I'm going to do. Give us like the quick, how did you get from there to here?
Yeah, like the point A to point B.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you were a kid.
When I was a kid, yes. Okay, so
You're from Evansville?
I am from Evansville. Grew up here, went to school here. I think a lot of it really started with my grandpa, and it actually had nothing to do with film or photography or video or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Although my mom in later years told me that my grandpa was like actually this like really good like budding photographer, but I had never, even to this day still, I haven't really ever seen any of his photographs.
Okay.
But he is an artist though. Like he's still alive. He's 97 years old.
Wow.
And
that's badass.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome. But like he really instilled like this love of like art. It like he's like a still life painter, and
okay.
he like still does it. Like every winter he's like, I do a painting because there's nothing else to do. He's like typical like German Evansville dude. So that was like, I always had this like artistic drive in me. Like I was into like drawing and doodling and like.
Do you think your grandpa recognized that within you at a young age? Or do you think he kind of ignited a spark where like I gave you the enthusiasm to pursue it, or the interest to pursue it?
Yeah, I think so. He, you know, we had like a spot in his basement that he would like, I think he tried to teach like all of his grandkids like art and drawing and stuff, and like so we would do like little drawings, and looking back now, I didn't even realize this is what he was doing. Like he would set up little like still lifes for us, and he'd be like
little model thing.
Yeah, he'd put like a, you know, like a candle in a basket or something. He'd be like, be like, you guys try to draw this, and then he would like hang them up in the basement. Like it was really sweet.
That is cool.
Yeah, so like art was always a thing. I was always like really into that in school. And then okay, I need to fast forward here because I can talk forever. But
it's all right.
I never even picked up a camera until, so like my dad was like really into technology and computers and cameras and stuff like at an early like we had like a computer in our home like in the early 90s and like all that stuff. And so he got this like VHS full tape camera. I remember him like
shoulder mount.
Yeah.
My dad had one too.
Yeah.
I'm a young guy I'm the young one in my family, so my siblings are closer to your age.
Yeah.
And my dad was similar, kind of on the cutting edge of, so we always had like the new VCR or not VCR, whatever.
Yeah.
Camcorder, video recorder, but
which
he had one that was like a full on.
Yeah. Which I'm really thankful for because like I remember back like a lot of my friends and their parents and stuff, like it was kind of like a conscious choice, and it was like kind of random that my dad was like, I mean he's a civil engineer, but he was so like he's even still to this day he's like really on top of like tech stuff, and like I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
I'm sure that had an influence on me too. Anyway, so where it really started, you're gonna be like, all this lead up to this, like this takes
that's
two,
all right.
two seconds to say, but it's all it's
all background info.
Even like speaking about this out loud, it kind of comes out. So I got into skating.
Okay.
Now you might hear skating and think skateboarding. Actually, inline skating, rollerblading.
Okay.
I'm a product.
I'll be honest with you, I was thinking skateboarding.
Most people do, and that's okay. But so like early 90s, like inline skating was like a big thing, and I got into.
What color were your first skates? Do you remember?
I do. They were black and purple and neon yellow wheels.
Sweet, that's about right.
And I got them as a gift because I got my tonsils out, and then I couldn't skate on them, so I would just like put them on and like kind of like walk around in the basement on the carpet and just like dream of the day when I can go out and ride them. But Yeah, so we were doing tricks, jumping stairs, building ramps and stuff. And so it was kind of like the traditional story of I really got into it through skating because, all my buddies were like, oh, it'd be cool if we like filmed this. And we started seeing skate videos. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So at first we were just like going out and filming things. I didn't even like think about like, oh, this is something we can like put together and make something.
Like, so when you say you were seeing skate videos, is that a time where people were like literally making like mixtape sort of style skate videos on VHS and you could buy it or rent it, or how did that?
So
just to give some context for how far we've come with YouTube.
Oh my God, totally. So in Evansville, there used to be, it's actually defunct now, but or just not in business anymore. There was a skate shop called Get Wet.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Was it on the east side?
It was on the east side. There used to be a putt-putt golf place.
Right in front of it. It's now a car wash.
It's now a car wash.
Gotcha.
But that was like the spot. And so like I remember going in there and so like a skate video for anybody that maybe didn't grow up in that culture. I mean, it would be like got like professional skaters and amateurs would like, they would go out, film tricks. And then, it was like a mixtape where they were like editing like sections of, them skating together to music.
Yeah.
Which I got influenced to a ton of music that a Midwestern kid would never have heard of.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure.
Like, a lot of people are like, how do you know about that? I'm like, dude, like a skate video from like 1996 or something.
Oh, that's cool. It literally got, like, think about this song, even for the band. They get it on the band, maybe say they're from LA.
Yeah.
A small band that hangs out with skater guys.
Yeah.
Gets on this skate tape, gets shipped all the way. They would have probably never got their song to Indiana either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this beautiful underground exchange.
A lot of times it was not technically legal either from the filmmakers. They were just like
put this song on.
They were using like Beatles tracks and stuff.
Oh shit.
And they're like, there's no way. I don't even know if
I'm
I
not
can
gonna get the rights
say
to
the
this.
B word on your podcast. Yeah. Coming after us.
B word.
But they would they would
That's
they would just
funny.
like put it out there and be like, they're not gonna find us.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and then a friend down the street, this guy's brother had an editing program on his computer, and he was actually a skateboarder, and they made a skate video, and it was literally like this VHS tape was being passed around the neighborhood, and I saw it, and I was like, how did they do this? I want to do so. We went out and filmed.
And you knew them, so then it was. Or you knew of them. Like, it's like these are real people in Evansville making.
Yeah, so like this guy that I actually skated with, like rollerbladed with, like we built like a half pipe in his backyard and stuff. That's like a ramp, like a half of a circle of a ramp. And if you don't know, look up Tony Hawk, y'all. Anyway, and so he rollerbladed, but his younger brother skateboarded and was like really into technology. They made this skate video, and I was like, Eric, how did you guys do this? And he's like, well, I got this program on my computer. And this was like when there were like literal tapes that you had to like log, like they were starting to get like smaller VHS type style tapes at that point. Anyway, so I filmed a bunch of stuff, and I was like, dude, will you help me make a video if we like get footage together? And he was like, yeah. So we did that, and then I basically kind of like sat over his shoulder like while he like edited the video on his computer. This was like late 90s. And then but he kind of like showed me like, well, if you get a VCR and another VCR, you can do this and you can do this. And I was like, I think I can do this. So the first one,
awesome.
It was kind of like co-made with this guy's like kid brother. And then I kind of figured out how to do it, and then eventually I got an editing program on my dad's computer and used up like every ounce of RAM, and he was always pissed at me like, okay, my computer won't even start up, and I'm like, well, sorry, all the footage is on there.
Yeah.
anyway, so it was from skating, and then that was really like where it.
But that's where you started really making videos.
Yes, yes.
That was your beginnings.
Yeah, and that wasn't even really until high school. So that was like late high. That was probably like in my later years of high school, like when that all started.
Did you know that that's what you wanted to do then, or was it? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It was
just something you were doing.
No, I always knew that I wanted to do like something with art. I actually went to school, went to college like out at USI in Indiana for graphic design.
Okay.
And that's actually what I actually have a bachelor's degree in graphic design.
Sweet. Okay, I didn't know that.
So I thought I was going to be like another word for is like a commercial artist or something.
Sure.
You know,
yeah, like, making logos and
like logos and brands and like even like band posters and like, working with photography and like more like branded designing is what I thought.
So you can do that.
I can. It's been a long time.
Not that someone would hire you for it, but do you do that for your own videos? Like, do you add any sort of like imagery and stuff?
Yeah, what's interesting is like so much of all that is like really tied together.
Yeah.
Because I look at all my like graphic design classes and everything, and it 100% helps me. It helps me with composition a lot. Like I'll look at a shot and be like, okay, I need to leave room right here, like literal space, because I know I'm going to put like text or graphics there later. And I tend to do a lot of that myself, and I kind of like it because I just happen to kind of know how.
Yeah.
But in the respect of like all that stuff too, it was only skate video based. Like I actually got hurt really bad. Like I like blew out my knee skating and had to have like I tore my ACL.
Okay. That'll put you out.
For anybody it's a pretty
brutal.
It's a pretty big time injury. It requires surgery.
A lot of people probably know it from sports and athletes.
From sports, yeah.
It's a game changer.
Football players deal with it a lot. Soccer players. So I was like laid up and couldn't skate. And I remember this conscious effort. I was like, okay, all my buddies are still out skating. This was in college. And this is really where things turned.
Okay.
And I made this like, kind of this like promise to myself. I was like, I'm going to go out and make a really good skate video. And this skate video still exists out there, but it's like, it was like this conscious thing of like, I can't skate, I can't do what I want, but all this video stuff is kind of cool. I want to see if I can make something. It was like when you make like a promise to yourself, like this is going to be as badass as can I cuss on your podcast?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Okay, I was going to say like I want to make like the most badass thing I can make and make it really good.
Yeah.
And so I made this skate video. And, it had music in it and everything. And, like, I started filming, like, all these artsy shots. Because skate videos are very much, it's almost like documentary.
Yes.
So, like.
Because there's cuts of, like, hanging out and talking, and then it goes back into.
And a lot of them are very, like city and regional based. So, like, there would be, like,
some B-roll of
crews and stuff. So it'd be like, oh, we took a New York City trip.
Yeah.
So like, man, there's gonna be shots of us like chilling, eating pizza, like,
dude, that's cool,
cruising
man.
the street. And
that's what bands do now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like on their YouTube channels and stuff.
And so, and that is still a huge influence on like all of my work of like these fast cuts, like more of like a documentary style. It's all from skating, and
that's awesome.
So I entered that video in a student art show at USI.
Okay.
And it ended up winning an award.
Nice.
And then this was like the first thing. Then there was a teacher that was doing this like I don't know what it was. It was some kind of like research study or something, like work for his like doctorate or whatever. Anyway,
Sure.
he was like, so he like pulled me aside and was like, hey, I want to like video document this. And like, I've been looking for somebody to put together, you know, and he's like, I have a grant of $500. And like, as a college student, you're like, whoa,
Like, damn, $500.
like I'm rich.
That's
You know?
awesome.
And, but that kind of started. And so like, I did that for him. And then it just kind of snowballed. Like people were like, hey, could you do a video for this? Hey, could you do a video for this?
That's beautiful, dude.
Weddings. Would you shoot a wedding? Yeah. You know, I was in that world for a while. And so anyway, so that kind of, so I've worked, and then that brought me like working through all kinds of, like I've worked for companies, spent like almost 10 years working for, I was in the church world for a while, worked for some churches.
Okay.
Doing media stuff. And then
Gotcha. Did you work for the news?
I did.
Okay.
I worked for, it used to be Channel 25 here in Indiana. Well, actually, it's in Henderson. Shout out Henderson.
Yeah, it is. Okay, that's true.
Shout out Hendo, Kentucky.
Went on a tour there once with my nephew because he wanted to be a meteorologist.
My gosh.
For like a couple of years. So we took him over and met Stacey May, and she gave us the tour.
And Wayne Hart.
Yes, Wayne was.
Shout out Wayne Hart. He's the best dude. He's the best dude. If he ever has the sleeves rolled up and no tie on, you better get to your basement. Cause shit's about to go down.
Oh shit! Because he's about to call it out. Like
he's about to say,
there's something going down.
There's a twister coming our way, and
you better get in your basement.
For those that know what tornadoes are. That's a Midwest thing. But yeah, I worked for the news for a couple years. I actually didn't film anything while I wasn't like a photographer. I was just a strict like, I was an editor.
Okay,
so like
that's what I thought.
Yeah, so like. They would go out and film the stuff. I would get all the scripts from the producers, and then I would just strictly edit.
That probably helped you cut your chops as an editor.
100%. It was not a job that I like, super enjoyed.
Sure.
And news is just a whole beast too. It can be very negative at times, and but it like, I mean, I attribute a lot of my editing skills to that 100%. Because
and you're probably on quick turnaround times and like.
Oh, dude, there would be some days where it'd be like hourly turnaround times.
Oh yeah,
and it'd be
Throw
like
this together.
It'd be like you have to cut these 10 stories in the next 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, or like there'd be like a breaking story, you know, and it'd be like, that's 5 minutes till 10 o'clock, and. You know,
we need this.
I remember having a producer saying, I don't care what the hell, just throw some clips on the timeline. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm like, really? You don't care? Okay. He was a cool dude. But anyway, yeah. So like, so sometimes when people are like, can you get this done fast? I'm like, I can, but
yeah,
you know,
dude, you made a quick clip for The Strangers. Funny enough, to be on the news. You remember that right after their show?
Oh my god!
And you cut that together really quickly.
Perfect tie in there.
Yeah,
Wesley.
Yeah,
good job.
But yeah, you threw that together like boom.
Yeah.
Which I know that was like more of like a highlight. I mean, it was literally like a news clip, which is funny enough as well. You know.
Yeah.
You threw that together really
Forgive my
quickly.
gulping of H2O here. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, we did like that little clip that when the Strangers were on, and I think that was Channel 25.
I think so.
I don't know what it is now, like another station.
Home team or no home station.
Tri-State Home.
Yeah,
page or something.
It is Tri-State Home page. I don't know. Yeah, something that might be their website, but
yeah,
whatever it is.
It's,
yeah.
Like two stations merged or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's yeah.
But so basically, what's interesting is they're like.
Sorry if that was a big old.
No, dude, this is good. It gives
ramble.
Us the whole, and I really, the point is too. It's like bringing up some of that backstory is to show, it's like Cooper our buddy who's now a fine painter,
Yeah.
he has a graphic arts degree, and he was talking about
Yeah.
how his graphic arts training informs his use of objects and space and color. And so it's like hearing yours, it's like, of course it plays a role in your, like you said, your composition, how things are set up. Oh, I'm going to put this over here.
Yeah.
It's like, it all makes sense. And then to hear you coming from the skate world, it's like, oh, dude, that's so cool, because I feel like now that you said that, I can kind of see some of that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in your work with artists and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's a lot of because people sometimes will like say to me, they're like, there's something and this sounds real pompous. It's not meant to be pompous.
Sure.
It's just a fact of like what influenced my work growing up. They say like there's something that seems like different about it.
Yeah.
Or like maybe different from what other people are doing. And it's all just like from what I like learned and latched onto, but it's all, I mean, the impetus of it is like mostly from skate videos, like where it's like fast cuts, kind of like music video vibes, but that's why like music is so important too, like picking the right music for edits is so important, because, and again, that comes from skate videos, because like guys would like, and girls, there were some girls in there, would pick songs that they would be like, this is the song for my section, like all my best clips together, and the editors would like, they'd be like landing, and it would hit on the beat, and it would hit on the beat, and it would the edits.
It does so much.
The edits were very timed to the music, and I just learned how I fell in love with that, but I also kind of adopted it as like I want to edit and make movies like that.
Yes,
and so I feel like I still do that to this day.
It's part of your approach.
Yeah, and I can't turn it off. And it's like, but I feel like there are others that maybe came from like a different background as far as like learning how to edit or put videos together. And I'm not saying like there's a way that's right or not right or wrong or not. But so when people like comment and they're like, there's something different about it, I'm like, well, I don't know if the different means good or bad, but like that's what it's from, is like from skate.
But dude, what's interesting,
and music videos and stuff like that too. So.
What's interesting is like from the work I've seen, it looks like you also, and maybe this is another tie to skating, but it's like the documentary style. You do very natural films. Like you're not setting up. It's not like in a studio with bright lights and there's a bunch of things going on. It's there's a lot of digital effects. Does that make sense? It's like your approach is closer to the street. Like it's closer to the...
No, well, and I feel like this is a broken record, but again, from skating again.
Yeah, see, that makes so much sense.
Because it really, a lot of the... And eventually we'll get to stop talking about skate videos. Yeah. Or maybe not. This is just a skate video podcast. Come on in.
I haven't talked about this yet. So.
But it was a big, like, a lot of those videos were like they weren't setting stuff. They were just like, we're on tour. We're in New York. We're in Boston. We're in California. We're in Paris. We're just going to film we're going to film the tricks, but then we're going to film, like, it's more of, like, lifestyle, too. Like, what's happening, what's raw. And nothing, I mean, like, I actually very much admire and really like a lot of the, clean work that's, like, in studios and that...
like, more produced. Or...
Yeah, because that's a whole thing, too, that takes... a lot of skill, a lot of know-how, a lot of knowledge. It's just like, it's like different styles of music. Like
it is. I was just literally thinking that.
Yeah,
I'm the same way.
And I tell people that a lot too. They're like, they're like, if you look at my work and then look at someone else's work, like they may look completely different, but it doesn't mean that like one is better than the other or vice versa or anything. Well, I mean, there are some people that are way better than me, obviously, but like there are, I mean, just like in music, how there are different genres, there are different approaches in how to make a film. Like if you want to go, you know, more studio and more clean, or if you want to go more raw, and it's just what I know. Yep. Like it's just when I started my business, like almost 3 years. Oh, wait a minute.
Is it the 3-year anniversary?
Wait, dude. I just realized October 8th, which is tomorrow.
Oh shit!
Is the 3-year anniversary of me starting my business. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Seriously, this was not
audience.
This was not planned.
That's awesome.
But when I started it,
3 years old.
Yeah, 3 years old, little toddler running around,
walking, running, talking.
But like when I started it, I remember, like my main like I'm big on like kind of like thought processes and like okay, like kind of like manifesting things or being like, this is what I want to accomplish, like goals and things like that. And so I just remember the one thing I was just like, and this is going to sound so whatever, but I just remember being like, I want this business to be me. Like, I can't, like, I've tried to do other things to be like, oh, I kind of want to make it look like so-and-so and make it be like this, make it be like that. And I'm like, I feel the most free creating and the most like myself when I'm just doing what feels right to me. And it was kind of this letting go of just being like, I might lose some work, but like if they see what I have to offer and they want to have me be a part of it, like let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I would not go back on that at all. Like it has freed me up to be like, and even so bringing up to the current state, like doing like the project that Cooper and I just finished, like, which is going to be coming out real soon. Actually, some of it might be releasing next week.
Awesome.
You know,
that little clip that you posted is amazing.
Oh,
I texted him too. I'm like, dude, I know it's been in the works for a lot, and we'll get there. Like, but it's badass,
dude. Thank you so much.
I love it.
But I
love it.
I credit a lot of that to him because as a creator too, it's very important to be on the same page. Like when you are doing a piece for someone, like we'll just use Cooper for instance, because what up, Cooper? You're a cool dude. He told me in the very beginning, he's like, dude, I've seen your shit. I want you to do what you do on this piece. He's like, now obviously we have things like we need to get out there and like we need to talk about, but he was like, you're freed up to do, like, I was like, cool. It'd be cool to like shoot some film on it. Dude, awesome. Let's do it. Awesome. Okay. So like there were like guidelines we wanted to get across, but, and this doesn't happen on every project, but like he basically just like released me to like do it how I do it. And I'm really happy with it. And I think he is too, because, and we had changes and, you know,
it's in different,
of course,
direction, and
but it was very much like, I felt very respected as an artist, like where he saw me and was like, I see what you're doing, you do it, you know, and it's like, dude, I see what you're doing, like I'm not gonna tell you how to do your painting, you know? And not saying that everybody should always bow to the way that I want to do it. It's not about that. It's like, but
it's being recognized as an artist, like you just said, versus you're just a filmmaker with the camera. I need you to come do this, and that, and then send me the...
Finding that happy medium to be like, that's why I think it's important to like, when you're hiring someone for a job, to look at their work.
Yeah.
because the way I do something, it's like, you know, it's going to be slanted like with that style because that's who I am.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know if any of that makes sense.
Yes, dude. And like, I feel like I experienced that, and I feel very similar to you in the position I am, having like, I just had a call last week with a company who is starting out at indie, and they want to, their whole bit is like creating membership style access to recording studios. So it'd be like, you pay $50 a month and you get to record at this studio as much times as you want, and you get to access. And I'm like, well, that's cool, but my studio is not quite like that. Like, my studio is more like, if somebody wants to record with me, I kind of sit down with them, and you did this with me. Like, we sit down over some coffee or a beer, and we get to know each other. What are your goals? What are my goals? And like,
100%.
Is this really gonna work out? Because like, I'm at the point where like, I only really want to take on projects that I'm excited about. That I feel like I can do a good job with, and also like I don't charge a lot, but like, I'm also not just gonna like, I don't want to just do like, and I've had some tough conversations with people who are like, hey, I just want to do this. Like, can we do that? And I'm like, it's just not for me, dude. You know? And it's tough, especially when it's friends or family who they're like, but this is what you're doing, you know? Like,
right.
Like, I can't.
Like they expect. But like, they look at you and they're like, "Oh, you're in the field. You can do anything." And
it's kind of like if I'm a plumber, it's like, "Hey, my toilet's broken. You're my cousin. You do plumbing. Come over and take a look at it." It's like, it's just a job, right? But it's like, for me, but I can't do that. Right. Like, I have to feed off of it, and
and I think
I just don't want to accept everything anymore. You know, get a little picky. Not that I can be, but.
No,
I sort of can, you know, now.
Dude, I resonate with that so much because it's and I think that's a sign of like growing as an artist too. I mean,
too.
Because what you do is art. Like, it's all like is actually like saying no to things. Like, and that's been, and I have people in my life that they don't people in my family that are like, I don't understand. Wouldn't you just take every job that comes your way? And I'm like, but it's not about it. Like, it's not about the money always. It's like, if like my name is going to be tied to this, and if it's out there, and if it's like something that I don't want to be known as like the guy to go to for that, I'm like, I'd rather be like, somebody else might be a better fit for you for this.
Right.
But I think that's like sign of growth too, because in the beginning, oh my God, like in the early days, I would just like, yeah, whatever, I'll take it.
Same. Yep. And I still do to a degree sometimes.
And I kind of hated it sometimes. Even though I love what I do, now I love what I do. And I think it's because I'm like learning how to be like, that sounds like a great project. I don't know.
Think it's for me.
I don't think it's for me.
Right.
Like,
but once you take a stance, then so for example, like, I met you through Cooper. You guys he had already met you. I don't know if you had already kind of started working together, or you were like in talks.
We had like
at the beginning of 2022.
We had like barely just met too, which is really funny.
But he knew I had already talked to him, and I had said, I really want to make a mini documentary film of some sort that tells the story of the band I work with, The Strangers. Yeah. And then I was looking around at different people. I hadn't met anybody that like I felt comfortable with taking on like a big project like this. I felt like could serve it right, you know. Right. But he sent me your info, and he's like, I met this dude, you should check out his work. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh, this is sick. And then I reached out and like you took a meeting with me, and then but as we had discussed it, I even remember you saying that, where it's like, I have been contacted for some music projects. Some of them line up with what I'm doing, some of them don't. But it
Yeah.
kind of sounds like what you're aiming to do. And I had told you the story of the band and stuff. And it was
yes.
I actually feel like, and I felt like we were like
Oh.
sharing a similar view of like how it could happen. And then, it just, things lined up well, where it was like, okay, I think this could work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
dude, it turned out great. It's been a
thanks,
great, it's been a great,
Well, those guys are easy to. Anytime I put the camera in their face, be like, yeah, what's up, Thomas?
they loved
they're great.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which in looking back now, they didn't know you, but they were a little apprehensive about me, creating a budget and spending time and energy and money on like a big, because they're like, which rightfully so, I totally get it. And I remember bringing this up. It's like, they're like, dude, we're just getting started. Like, we don't want to make a documentary and indulge our short careers. Like they're like thinking of Led Zeppelin and like these like legendary bands who have documentaries. They're like, who are we? But it's like, it's not like that. This isn't about your childhood and shit. This is about what you've been through and how you overcame it. Just and like you told the story beautifully.
Oh,
you did.
Thank you,
yes.
Wes. Yeah. Thank you, dude. Yeah. Like, well, and that's what I think that's what's important just to me in general is storytelling. Like, if there's not and when you told me the story of the band, what they had been through, exciting stuff, hard stuff, like, I think there's just something you feel like in your gut where it's just like there's something to be told there.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I try to pull out of anybody that I work with, where it's like, if it's a story of a band or even like a brand, which might not sound like super exciting, like sometimes I'll like sit down with people and we're like, doing a video for a brand, and like, they want to tell me like all these stats and numbers, and we've got 5 stores and da-da-da.
Right.
And I'm always like, cool. But why did you why the hell did you start a restaurant?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm like, no. Like, why should anybody care? Like,
yeah.
Why?
Let's get down to
It's more like, why do you love this?
Yeah.
Like, if we even just have one question, like, why do you love doing this? And like, always you see their eyes light up and they're like, oh my God, well, because like food was always huge in my house, and my grandma would make this, and like, and I just knew I wanted to start a restaurant, and like, and you get the story, and I'm always like,
there we go.
Well,
like, don't you think that
it's already in you?
Yes, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry, I kind of cut into.
No, you're right, and it's a mutual. I actually feel like it's good for, like, for example, it was good for the strangers to go through it with you. We had a whole day of interviewing them.
Yeah.
And, we asked them questions. It's
Yeah.
like they better understand what they've been through. Cooper, I can tell now when I talk to him about, it's like, it's actually like it's like a means of growing along with your project. When you're interviewing Cooper about like his pieces and stuff, he's got to figure out how to articulate what he's working on, and it better helps him understand what he's doing. It's like this, but then at the same time, you're capturing a great story. It's like this beautiful, the growing of like a, we know what we're doing here, Well, and it's awesome.
There's always like, I always feel like I'm making music analogies too with like film work, which is, music is music. I know,
great place to do it.
Hey, yo,
yeah,
music is so important in the process of filmmaking and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's like finding the melody or the hook or a lot of times I'll refer to it as like the thread that. So, for instance, with Cooper, he had he wrote, he had a few ideas, and then, we sat down, sometimes I'll kind of just like open the gates and like let people run and be like, okay, say what you want to say. And then I kind of, we kind of like stop, and I'm like, I'm kind of hearing like,
you keep bringing this up.
I'm kind of hearing this and this. You keep talking about like, funny enough, his had to do with music too. And he was like, music was really important. And he was talking about like his grandpa that used to play records on this old stereo.
Yes. Yeah, he brought that up on his episode.
Okay,
here.
yeah.
The 57 Vox. I don't even fucking know.
Magnavox.
Yeah, yes.
Hi-fi stereo. Yeah. But like all his like for this show, like it's all like speakers and stereos and stuff, and I was like, dude, like that fucking seems like the theme to me.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I think you might be right. And like he's like, it's like it was there the whole time. I'm like, a lot of times it is.
Yeah.
And you just have to like see, you have to sift through and be like, this is it. And so we kind of went that route, and he was talking about like, well, I have music playing in the studio and that inspires me to paint. And sometimes you just take a stab too. I was like, I kind of went that route, and I showed it to him, and I was like, what do you think? And thankfully, it doesn't always happen first time around, but he was like, I think we got it. I think that's it. Like, I think that's a good theme, a good thread to pull on. And anyway, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Basically, it's most of the time people are surprised that it's like there so easily. A lot of times it is like the thing that seems so easy, where it's like
obvious after the fact. It's like you look back, it's like, well, it's obvious. I'm literally almost every one of Cooper's pieces. Well, I haven't seen all the new ones, but like a lot of his more recent stuff, it's awesome. Speakers and like you said, like the Magnavox is working its way in. The one down here's got a guitar and vinyl records on it and a computer monitor and stuff.
Hank Williams Jr.
Yep, Junior's over there. But yeah, dude, like, and he was on here talking about how like music. Like he's like saying something about like how music informs what he's doing too. It's like whatever's playing, it's like he takes on the vibe of that. Like he's like, if I'm listening to something on beat, I'm painting faster. If I'm listening to something chill, it's more just like he's like, and you can tell with the tempo of the lines and stuff. I'm like, I had never thought about it. It's like the music involves itself in more ways than just,
oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like, and that's,
probably similar in some cases to what,
Yeah, well, it's so, I mean, and I'm actually not I don't play any instrument, and I don't, I wouldn't call myself a musician by any stretch of the imagination, but like, for some reason, there's something about the tie of like music and visual, and like composing, just like I think we all know those like films where it's just like, oh my, like, like Jurassic Park without the like.
Yes, I've seen it.
The the
first one,
the score in it, would be like, it'd be a completely different film, or like any classic film where it's like. The music is almost like this other
fourth dimension,
like character in it, where it's like you really need to think about. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. Like I think about it like a lot, like a character, where it's like, what is it gonna inform? Does it make sense? Does it feel like it fits the vibe? And like with Cooper's pieces, I picked some music pieces like based off of like what I heard when I would go over and like hang out in his studio, and like if we'd be filming,
what he's playing in the background,
a lot of like lo-fi hip hop, chill hop, like beats, stuff like that, where it's a lot of like boom,
Yep.
And like I could see how like, all right, like I can see how he's like vibing on this to paint, and so so I was like,
and it's colorful. Which is funny to explain music, but it's like the stuff he's listening to. it's informing,
Yeah, like you can almost like picture like visuals like going with it. And so
well, even like he said, I don't know if he told you this, but like the gallery is using, like he's making a playlist
yes,
that the gallery's gonna have playing at his show.
Yeah, he told me that.
So it's like his.
I was like,
It's
dude,
like
that's
fully his world.
like
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's crazy to think
he's
that.
like DJing his own show too.
Yeah,
not like literally. But
no,
like,
but
yeah.
pretty much like he's curating the sound to his show.
Well, and like a line that he said in the interview was he said, "I'm creating the kind of world that I want to live in."
Yeah,
and I just loved that. Like, and I think that's true for like anybody that creates art is like, art, film, music, etc. Where it's like you're trying to just like create this little slice of like this is how I see, because there's millions of filmmakers and musicians. It's like, but this is how I see things.
And I like going kind of back to earlier. It's like I almost feel like once you start saying yes and no to things, and you're like start defining your path, that's really where that starts coming into play. Because then you can really start. You're like, well, that doesn't fit in the world that I'm creating, or that doesn't fit in the, like my vision of how my work's supposed to go. And it's not I'm not trying to be rude. It's just I just can't see how that would work, and but when it makes sense, all of a sudden it's like, but then you get these beautiful projects, man, when you're saying yes to the right things, and they're happening. It's like, it's beautiful, dude.
It's like all of a sudden it feels like fun again. Where it's like, because you learn these skills and like I can like edit like I can edit video because I've just been doing it for like so long now that it's kind of like second nature. Like things that I used to have to think about, like how am I going to do this a lot, now it almost kind of happens in real time where I'm like, I want it to be like this, da 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 da, boom. Okay, that looks good. Okay, now, like,
yes.
So the skills kind of become like second tier, where it's like, okay, I don't really have to like think about like what to do to make it look like this anymore. But it's like, but it kind of frees you up to be like, how can I open it up to be more of my personality, and like, you think more about like the story and the content when you don't have to
think about the tools.
I mean, again, musician, like once you finally get to the point where you're not thinking, okay, G chord, E chord, A chord,
right?
Your body just does it, and you can like commit more to like, what's the song about?
Right. What am I trying to do here?
Does that make sense?
Oh, dude,
it's like this
more than you realize. I just had this conversation.
It's the same in like. Once you get past like the technical parts of it,
exactly.
I think you can dive in deeper, and there's a time for that. Like there were years, and I'm still learning. Like,
right.
I have a mindset of.
I totally understand.
I have a mindset of like, I hope I'm like always still learning things and being a student. Shooting on film has like really been that for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making lots of mistakes and like, figuring things out. But like, you have a season of learning the technical aspects and like sponging up things from people.
Yep.
Sitting over the shoulders of people that are already doing it or that have been doing it longer, and you're like, oh my God, how do you do that? Like, what's, and you're just this annoying little grommet kid.
Yeah.
And see, that's a skater term, a grommet. It basically means like you're kind of like a poser, or like trying to like, it's like you're the kid that's like coming up trying to be the cool kid.
I literally picturing the kid. Yeah. Yep. Hanging around the skate park.
That's got all the big gear with the logo on it and stuff. But one day they take a shift and they're eventually the one that, so you kind of have to like take some flack for a while.
Yeah.
And you know,
Dude, I
until you come into your own.
I agree. Literally just had this conversation with a guy last night who's just getting into music production.
I'm gonna open up a LaCroix here, so if you
Pop
hear
it, dude,
if you
pop
hear
it.
some pop and lock, that's what's going on.
And they a guy in his it's like my wife works with a guy, and his buddy was in town. He's getting into music production, knows I have a studio, wanted to come see it, and I'm like, sure, come on through.
Yep.
So I show him, and he's asked what software I use. So I pull up Ableton Live, and I'm like showing him some stuff.
Yeah.
And I said to him, when I was in college, I had a buddy who was younger than me, who was like way further experienced and advanced in using the software.
Yes.
And he told me one time that once you surpass the technical barrier of entry where you're figuring out the space and how things work, what do I do here? How does all this software and what do all these tools do?
Yep.
Once you pass that, the software and the tools become an extension of your imagination.
Yes.
And now you can sit down and you can do what you want to do. It's like, this is going on. I need to fix this problem. This is the tool. You put it here, taken care of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I also 100% feel like an old man in that aspect, because like I've been using the same program like ever since I started, and like I have a lot of friends and colleagues and peers that like they've kind of like done some switching of like, oh, I'm going to use this program now and stuff. And I'm like, cool. I'm an old crotchety man that I've like figured out this program, and I'm going to die with this program in my coffin because I know how to use it, and it scares me to use this other program. So there's there's parts of that. And you see like people that are like die hard to like, you know, oh, I only will play like this type of guitar or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But you find something that like fits well. Where am I going with this? Basically, yeah, I like how you said that. It becomes an extension. And I would imagine too with artists, whether that's like the instrument becomes an extension of the person like getting out to express like what the song is, or the paintbrush, or the camera. I'm sounding very philosophical here,
but no, you're right. And like that's what I was saying to the guy last night, because I was like and it was cool from my perspective, because I'm like, look, I'm the same way. I have plenty of learning to be done. I listen to other people's mixes or other people's productions in music, and I'm like, holy shit. You know, I mean, now granted, some of these guys have been doing it 20 years, 30 years longer, but
yeah.
But then when I'm showing this younger guy last night,
showing this youngin',
I'm showing he's like my age, but younger in the game,
yeah, for sure.
But like how this stuff works, it's like now because he's like, damn, look at all your projects, they're so clean and organized, and I'm like, they're actually like a mess. Like it's like an interconnected mess of this is like plugins and software, like all of it's just. But I know what's going on.
Yeah,
like this guy would get in there and it looks like chaos, you know. But it's like, no, but this is.
Oh yeah,
I'm safe when I'm in there. Actually,
timelines are. I mean, because I imagine you have like layers and like tracks. And
yes.
Stuff.
What software do you use?
So I use a software called Final Cut Pro.
Okay, Final Cut Pro. That's Apple, right?
On Apple computers, yeah.
But I've seen Final Cut Pro, and the way that it's arranged with tracks and things are stacked on one another.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, very similar-ish to a music making DAW, you know, digital audio workstation. Very similar.
Right, like you have like your music track, your audio track, your visuals track, your graphics track. They're all tracks, which I'm assume, you know, with
I have the same thing.
With audio engineering, you know, it's like, okay, this is the drum track, this is the bass track, this is it's the same. And at the end of the day, you're just like you're building something and a lot of times there are all kinds of different like avenues of it, but sometimes things are built in the sometimes I don't really know what a story is going to be until I start editing it, honestly, where it's like, or I'll forget like, oh my God, we shot this. Ooh, that would be really good. I mean, it's like, picking your paints on a palette where you're like, okay, I'm gonna pull this in. Okay, yeah, that feels okay. Ooh, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a trial and error, and like, it's very feeling. Maybe that's another reason why I really enjoy it too, because it's very feeling based, and it's not really something you can explain it to people.
Sure.
Like I could, which I tell people,
but it doesn't mean you could like necessarily teach another dude who wants to edit videos like
it's hard. It's
how to feel the
It's
over time. Maybe you could show him how or her how. Like you could demonstrate, and they'd be like, "Oh, I get it now after 10 years." Okay,
yeah,
yes.
and it's very much feeling based. Like it's like, which sounds very like.
Dude, it's
like
amazing how similar though like that is to audio production, because like
I know, yeah,
it really is the same process. Like I just mixed a song this week that's 148 tracks. So that's
oh my gosh,
that's different drum tracks. It's just mostly vocals. It's tons of vocals and guitars.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it's so intimidating because you're getting in there. There's stuff happening everywhere. So it's just like I'm just like scrambling to make a little bit of sense of it. Then I step away. Then I come back. I'm like, oh, just move this, step away, come back. It's like, oh, okay, I'm starting to really see how this is going to piece together.
Dude, and I just thought about something that's like 100% like riding that, riding that same wave. I've been saying that lately. I have all these things I say. That I don't know if you like resonate with this, and it goes back to, it's a thread. Come on now. That goes back to like what we were talking about earlier, where for me, I feel like a lot of the edits I do come to a place where I'm happy with them when a lot of times it has nothing to do with adding more to it. It's it's what I take away.
Start taking away.
Like what you say, what you say no to, what you like get over your ego about, like, okay, I know you thought this shot was
amazing,
gold on poop or whatever, but like it doesn't fit the story and it needs to go. And 100% of the time, like, and those are really hard decisions to make. But I feel like the piece is like, it's always about the stuff that I like end up cutting that makes it better as opposed to adding.
I mean, dude,
and that's weird. I don't know what that is.
But do you know who Rick Rubin is, the music producer?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
His
awesome.
First couple records, I don't know, it was early records, he would put on there, instead of produced by Rick Rubin, he would say reduced by Rick Rubin.
Oh my God, I love that.
Because he's like, my job was often taking things out.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And I tell people a lot now, and I am no mixing wizard by any fucking means. I have a long way to go when it comes to mixing music, with technical audio balancing and stuff. But
you know your skills, Wiz.
I'm learning, and what I'll tell people a lot of times is like, what I used to think, it'd be like, okay, this snare drum's not working. Let's throw a plug-in on it. Let's do whatever. Like, let's add chaos. When really now, I just think of like, my first thing is always volume. Let's just turn it down a little bit. Like, let's just bring it. Like, it's always volume first, because then if you're like, or like the vocal, something's wrong with the vocal, we need to do this. It just happened yesterday. There was a guitar part. He's like, is that guitar out of tune? I just dropped it in the mix a little bit. All of a sudden, he's like, oh, it fits perfect. It's like,
isn't it crazy how it's always like, just the very like, it's like little minute thing.
Yes.
Like, let me just like take that down, maybe like 2 dBs, or like, and it's the same like. I'll be like, I wonder what would happen if I just bump this over literally 2 frames.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's it.
Yep.
And there's 24 frames in 1 second of film or video.
Right.
And it's like, this is like fractions. But like, again, when you get past the technical level where you're just like, I have a feeling that this needs to be done. And then you like start playing with it and you're like, that's it. Like and it just kind of reveals itself.
But that, that level of experience, I'm sure it gets sharper and sharper and sharper over time. But even yesterday I had a guy in here, we're working on his record, Swamp Eyes, it's my kind of like my cousin. He's my cousin-in-law, but a great friend of mine, Sam
What's
Cuban.
up, cousin?
Yeah, but his record has a double kick drum towards like the real loud part, so it's like
Oh yeah,
big kick drum, and he's like, I feel like the kick drum, something's not right, and I'm like,
okay, yep.
I said, I actually don't think it's the kick drum. I think it's the bass guitar is getting in the kick drum's way. So we're gonna like turn down the bass a little bit, turn down the bass. He's like, it's perfect. I'm like, that's the beauty of getting more involved. It's like you come at it thinking, dude, the vocals are messed up. It's like, actually, the vocals are fine. It's the guitars that are a little too loud. They're getting in the way of the vocal. You know, it's like, it's typically,
you have to
it's
kind
something else.
You have to like back up from it and like
exactly
and look at it like from a high view to be like, okay, what,
yes,
why does this not feel right?
This needs tweaked or
100%.
Yep.
That's why we're feely artists.
Yes,
that, like,
agreed. Because
it really is like you were saying, some things are teachable and some things can be teachable, but then there are things where it's like, I could try to tell you how to do it, but at the end of the day, like, there's part of me that didn't even know that's what it was going to be until it happened.
Right.
And
yep, agreed.
Yeah.
So switching a little bit, I do want to touch on this before we have to wrap up, because I know it's a big part of your life right now. But I'm going to assume it's probably your biggest like personal undertaking, riskiest venture. I don't know, but it's something that you've had to crowdfund thousands of dollars to fund, and you're directing it.
Yeah,
it's on you. It's the IndieFilm Factors.
Yeah.
So, did you write it as well?
I did. Yes.
You wrote it as well.
Yeah.
So, what is this project like for you working on it? It's a little bigger, I'm assuming, from like a cinematic production standpoint. You got actors.
Yep.
What is this like for you versus like a more of like a documentary style, like some of the projects you do with like me, Lash Larue,
right,
Cooper. How is this been for you?
It's been an amazing, it's been an awesome experience, also one that I've learned a lot from.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But it's been and very different too, which it sounds like I'm not excited about it. I'm very.
Well, you're in the midst of it.
It's kind of like
so I understand.
I'm starting to see. I was just telling a friend of mine the other day who's a guy named Eric DeLong, who's going to be working on the actually the composing of the music for it.
Sweet.
And he was asking me
I
about
know what
it.
you're talking about.
Yeah, he's the best. He was asking me about it, and I was like, it's like when you're in like the grind of making something. There are some days where you're like, is this thing ever gonna happen, be finished, come together? And I'm just now starting to like see like that light of like, okay, I think this is what it's gonna be. And even to the point of like, there's like one little scene that I was like, we may need to like shoot one more little bit on this, and I think it's really going to round it out. So I'm getting really excited about it now, where it's like I can see things, like we're saying, you feel it out.
Yes.
Things are coming together. So like I wrote it, put it together. Like
it features Emily and Ty. Are they acting in it?
Emily and Ty Bernhardt.
Yeah, beautiful people.
Beautiful people. Beautiful. It's really no, they're awesome. Emily has been in a few like little things that I've done, and something I wanted to mention, like so this film is being shot on film, so we're using 16mm film
for the entire thing.
Wow. And Emily had kind of been like, I've kind of used her on some like test shoots where like like most of the things that I've done with her have been on film, where I'm like, hey, I just kind of need somebody as like an actress to like, just kind of making an artsy piece or like a visual poem.
Yeah.
Like, stand here, walk from here to there. I'll get this shot. Like, that was me kind of like feeling out like how do these cameras, because I bought a 16 millimeter camera like 2.5 years ago. And so like, you have to, takes a lot of practice, getting over the technical parts of it.
Yeah.
To where you'd get to a point where it's like, okay, we could, show up and, shoot these scenes and everything.
Because there's probably a lot of different things you have to consider using film versus a 4K high quality digital camera. Lighting, all this.
Excuse me. Yeah, like it requires a lot more. Sorry, I got the burps from my LaCroix.
That's the LaCroix getting you.
That's the LaCroix. That's the crayon raspberry coming in. Or the
Jazzberry.
The jazzberry.
I thought it was something with
I thought it was jazzberry. Shout out. We're gonna call it jazz. Shout out jazzberry.
I'm pretty sure it's jazzberry.
We're just gonna call
it that.
What's with these cans? Anyway, yes. So
there's a lot more to consider, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like you need a lot more light. You need a lot more, just the parameters of like creating. So, like, each roll of film, you can only, let's see. So the amount of film that we're shooting on, you can only film for like 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh my Lord!
On one roll of film. Sometimes you can get like 2:45.
Can you stop and re-film over film that's been filmed on? Does that make sense? Like, can you overdub?
Not really.
Like if I use 2 minutes on a shot and I'm like, nah, I didn't like that. Let's do it again. Can I rewind it and shoot on the same piece of film? Or is it like distorted by that point? And
short answer, no.
Okay. Man.
So you're asking me like what's different and everything. Way different from like a documentary type style, because like I did like hardcore like storyboards where it's basically like you sketch out like this is what every scene is gonna look like. It was a lesson in like I had to be a lot more structured. Like, okay, here's the script. This is what this scene. I could tell you exactly what the scene's gonna look like. This is what the shot's going to be. It's a conversation, so the camera's going to be over here, then it's going to go over there. Now, there are we shot it over this summer.
Okay.
And there were some things that happened where it's like, okay, we got what's on the script. Let's get one more shot, like, this is just, a Thomas throw-in. We're going to see what happens. And sometimes, like, there have been a couple occasions where it's like, oh, I think that'll be the one we use. But you have to be very intentional because it's you don't have much, and then you have to. It takes a lot more time. Like you have to change your roll of film, and
it costs money.
Like a roll of film is like $60-ish.
Oh my! So 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the movie, or no, sorry, just of the recording of the movie is $60.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you have to get it processed and scanned.
Yep.
Which that's about $150. So
that's an expensive
it's
racking up.
That's why a lot of people are like, why the hell are you making a movie on film in 2022?
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to it's all part of like why I do things the way that I do, where it's like, could I just like shoot it on digital and put a filter on it? Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
But there's almost like when you are using film or some kind of obscure like medium like that, there is something about like there will be and there is like I've gotten like like all the film back except for this one little scene that we're gonna shoot still. And Emily and Ty don't know about that yet. I'm gonna tell them about that.
Hopefully you tell them about that before this comes out.
Yes,
not that they'll hear it, but they might.
They might. What's up? Actually, we're hanging out on Monday, so they'll know about it. But there are little like light flares, like basically anomalies and mistakes that happen on the film that you can't replicate. And that just like, that puts like fire in my bones. Like, I love that. Like, if somebody
That's beautiful.
If somebody looks, like, I giggle inside so much when somebody's like, that was an awesome effect you used on that. And when I say, that wasn't an effect. We shot that on Super 8 film. And you kind of see their head explode. And you're like, and I'm not like saying that to be like Mr. Cool Pants.
No,
it's like, I just feel like that's like the next step in the evolution that I want to take, like as a filmmaker, of like using authentic mediums, because they are harder, and it's like it requires like more respect to be like, there's a ton about shooting on film that I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of made filmmaking fun again, because it's like, we're all kind of figuring this out together. It's like having my dad's VHS camera all over again, where it's like, I don't really know what this thing fully does yet.
Yep.
But like, let's make a movie and find out, you know? And so, that's kind of it. And so, Factors, it's more of like it's like a drama piece, like very inspired by like if any of your audience have seen like films by like the company A24 and like things like that. Like,
okay.
It's an indie film. It's very drama. There's some thriller in it. There's fake blood was used. That's all I'll say. Lots of fog machines.
Cool.
It's very vibey.
Cool.
Like Eric was like, this sounds very moody and vibey. I'm like, dude, exactly.
That's great.
So, it's just kind of like, it's just me kind of doing my thing. Like, wrote it from a place of some things I've felt over the past couple years, and and just forced myself to sit down and write a script, which that was probably the hardest part.
That's a beast in itself.
I'm gonna sit down and write today, but I took like 2 months at the beginning of this year, and was like, I took like January and February and was like, of 2022, and was like, okay, I'm gonna write something, and and then start fundraising in March, and then
dude, and kudos to you, man. All of that is not easy shit. I mean, especially you're the creative. I mean, every creative battles with the fact that you have to make money and everything costs money. Like, it's always it's been going on forever, the battle between making money and doing something because you're loving it, and it's just artistic. But like, that takes a lot of guts to put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm making a movie, I'm raising money, will you give me some money?
Yeah.
But people respect it, man. I do. I'm like, dude, that's
well, and it's like, you have to make people, that sounds forceful. You have to like share with people, like, why should they care about a movie that you're making?
Yeah.
Like, you have to share the passion of, this is important to me. Hey, if you have $20, like, would you consider throwing it towards this? Because we could, like, it would make a difference, it would add up. And, so we did the crowdfunding. I wrote literal letters to people, like old school, like mailers. Like, I had like a picture of myself on it, and like the title of the film, and was writing like family, childhood, like friends' parents who I figured might have more money. And like things like that, where it's like, like, hey, Aunt Becky, who I haven't talked to in a while, this is your nephew Thomas.
Check out what I'm up to.
I'm making a movie,
Yep.
and I will say, a lot of the support, like, don't underestimate the power of a handwritten letter.
Yeah.
We got a lot. The film got a lot of support from family, friends. Of when I just like wrote a lot of people trying to make like connections of, okay, you've always supported me. I really appreciate like the love that you've given me over these years.
Like people who have just like commented or like watched your stuff
Yeah,
or told you that they loved you,
or
like
that,
your
like,
stuff or
like my aunt, like an aunt and uncle, for instance.
Yeah.
Like, and they, just like writing and like and I wasn't trying to be manipulative or anything, but I was just like,
you needed money.
you guys, have really like helped me grow as an artist. And like, yes, I'm asking if you would support this project, but like more than that, like, I just want to say like, thank you. Like, I'm here today because of like how you poured into me, or how you like helped encourage me over the years. And like, and even if you can't help financially, like, I just want to make you aware of like, I'm working on something new, and be on the lookout for it.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Even if I want you to be a part of it, even if you just say, great job, that sounds awesome. Like, that fills my sails too, to be like, there are people that see it and they're like, that's cool, man. Like, and sometimes that means just as much or more. 'Cause like, I had some people that, were like, hey, I wish we could. We're not really in a spot right now, but like, let me know if there's anything else you need, or like, how could we support you in other ways too? I mean, I think as artists, like, that's all we want, is like people to say like, I see what you're doing, and like, I acknowledge it, and like, that's really neat. And that's like, I mean, I'm not trying to get like emotional or something, but like, it almost does make me emotional sometimes, because I think as an artist in general, that's all we're ever trying to do, is like this film is just an expression of things that I've felt and been through, and just trying to say with some visuals, and
for someone else to recognize it and like recognize you because of it too,
Yeah.
It's a huge compliment.
Yeah, and people that did give, like, I'm so appreciative of, they gonna get their names in the credits, and I mean, like, it's,
well, I saw
them to have their due. Like,
I saw you post it, and it's like, I am also a creative trying to start my thing or build my thing. So when I see you post, I'm like, dude, hell yeah. Because like, of course we'll give you something, because because I want that when I'm doing something, I need that same thing. And like, I remember hearing, this is kind of like, not cheesy, but like cliche, maybe, if you know Tony Robbins, like
okay.
He's like he was in Shallow Hal, but
I think I know.
But he's the motivational guy, and
yes.
And he's a great motivational speaker. I mean, dude, I don't have to say that, but he is, an epic kind of guy. But I remember hearing a video of him say one time, if you don't give when you don't really have money, you're not going to be a giver when you do have money. Because giving is not just about rich people giving back what they make. It's about like being generous,
Oh my god. Yeah.
And I that stuck with me so hard. So Dude. It's like, oh, look, okay, yes. God, I wish I could give you $1,000, or whatever, like when someone asked, but it's like, I'll give you this, and all of it is a
I think that's
building block.
Dude, 100%. And I think that's an expression of like, there's something about, I just think as like getting older and being an artist and like seeing other people doing their thing, it's like, there's something moving about, Like, I just don't subscribe to this, like, you know, like the competitiveness of oh, I'm gonna blow that dude's boots off, and like it's like it's just like I think artists need to support each other.
Yeah.
And so it's like if there's a fellow filmmaker or something. No, I mean, I think competition is good to help like keep people driving, to be like, oh man, did you see what he did? Like, that's awesome. Like, we want to try to do something. But like always out of like a support and like boosting up as opposed to like
tearing down
or bashing on people or being like, that project was shit or something. Like, get out of here with
I think that is a level of maturity, because once you take on some hard projects, you realize how difficult it is to do most projects, especially at high levels.
Dude, yeah.
And the idea of bringing somebody down who does something at a high level, it's like the only reason that you're doing that is you're a hater or you're like not on your own game. Because if you were on your own game, you'd realize how fucking hard it is to do some stuff.
And guess what? They were brave and put it out there. And what are you
finished it?
What are you putting out there? Probably not anything. Like,
exactly.
So it's like, so everyone that like supported, I feel like so much love and gratitude of that. And even like what's funny too is, I mean, not funny. It's just it's math. But like, most of the growth came from the small, like the $50, like $20 donations, or like here's $10, or like here's $50 or whatever. Like, it wasn't like there weren't that many like bigger donations, which like I think that's even more awesome, because it's like there were like I think over 100 people that like wanted to be involved with it, and so it's like,
that's awesome. It's a squad, man.
I know, man.
But dude, I said this from this for the strangers. I'm like, you guys are a grassroots organization.
Yeah.
As in, like, you have people who support you and you know them.
Yes.
And they actually buy your merch and they come to your shows.
Yes.
It's like, it's a real... okay, yes, we need to get your streaming numbers up on Spotify. But like, it's like, I
got the Strangers tracks on my playlist, trying to do my part,
It's awesome. But then, they get in this big competition. They're going up against bands who have hundreds of thousands of monthly listeners on Spotify. Totally. They're beating them because the Strangers are texting their buddies, texting their family.
Yep.
They have real support on their voting. So it's like the practical... The value of practical support is so valuable.
Dude, at their album release show, where we like filmed like a bulk of their content.
I'm so glad you were
for
there.
The documentary. I've never seen a crowd like so rowdy. It was just like people from their town, people from their crew.
Think about this. That beautiful theater, everybody's got a nice comfortable seat. The show starts, 3/4 of the people stand up, go to the front of the stage, and are standing for the majority of the show.
I was just like, are we like, what is this?
Like, what is this?
Like,
amazing.
I was trying to think of some cool big band. I couldn't think of anybody.
But
yeah, it's just... But like, those are the people that will support you the most, and it's you want to make those people. I think people want to feel a part of something.
Yeah,
and so it's like
they're really rooting for you at that point.
Yes, and when you can like include people, and be genuine about it, to be like, look, like this, I mean, we, and we didn't quite hit the goal that we were going for, but like. We had a little over $8,000 of people that
That's a lot of money.
It is
most people for a project.
Well, no, it is a lot of money, and like for people to be like, "We believe in you," like, use it for and I've got my
make us proud.
Like separate account. Okay, like we've got the budget and like yes, and exactly. It's like I'm not just. I mean, I'm doing this for me and the actors and everything, but it's like, like people literally gave like resources to this, and like to make them proud, or be like, I don't want them to be like, that's what I made with that.
Right,
you know,
right.
like, I hope it's good,
But,
and
dude,
that they
and
feel proud about
it's
it.
a big compliment to you, because like you got to remember, nobody who donated, or I'm gonna guess that almost nobody who donated read the script, or like we didn't get to see.
Nah, yeah.
Like we don't know what you're gonna make really at the end of the day. So
Right.
all the donors, they're supporting you. You know what I'm saying? Like they want you to succeed. That's the beautiful part of it. It's like,
yeah,
like
I never really
we're
thought
all
about it.
trusting
Yeah.
you. Like I'm excited to see the film, but like I didn't know I don't know what we're getting. Like I don't know, but I trust you and I want you to succeed.
Well, we'll see.
Are you having any sort of like release party or viewing show?
Yes,
or what's going down?
Thank you for asking, Wesley.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know details quite yet.
Okay.
Because the film's about 3/4 of the way like edited right now. And then we're moving to the music stage, and we're actually doing like some audio overdubbing and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So a lot of it's like still in post-production right now, but I am hoping to have at least a premiere of the film. I don't know where yet. That in my mind, like I mean, the goal is to have it done before the end of the year. I don't know if anybody knows this. I talked to Eric about it, but I would love to maybe have a premiere for it like before Christmas.
Okay.
Or by Christmas time.
Yep.
Of 2022 this year. So it'll probably be somewhere local, and I'll advertise it and probably be open to the public, like anybody that would want to come, or if you donated or whatnot, and we'll try to.
It's beautiful, dude.
Try to have a good night and watch a little short film. I mean, it's a short film, so it's not like a full.
How long is it?
I think it will end up being somewhere around like 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
So it's not. I mean, it's
Yep.
It's not like a full length feature, which I don't have any idea how people. Like the other day, I was talking to somebody. I was like, "Oh my god! Like, how people do movies that are like 4 times this?" And eventually one day I'd like to.
Sure.
Like 90 minutes-ish is like a feature length, like considered, quote unquote. But like, dang, I still got work to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I like, hopefully it'll get there one day.
I hope so too.
Probably
man.
a longer script too. I might need to like have somebody else write the script. Yeah, because
Well, then it becomes that.
I'm
Then
okay
you
at
build
script writing, but like I'm not the best at dialogue, so I'm like, I think I could, and I have buddies that have like written some screen stuff before, so like something will happen.
Hell yeah.
See, that's my problem too. I think it's my like personality type. I'm always thinking about the next project before I finish the one at hand. I'm like, slow down, Thomas. Marinate in the now.
That is
marinate in the now.
That's got to be partially healthy, though. I mean, that's
Yeah.
keeping you pushing through this, in the first place. I know Cooper's like that. I'm like that.
Yeah.
Thinking about.
I often
and-
wonder
but-
if like
and you hate
most
to
artists are that way too, where it's like.
And you hate to come off. I felt very guilty recently because I felt like I had this experience with an artist where we're almost done with his record. And then I'm talking about the next thing,
Thinking
and I
about the next
feel
thing,
like I'm
yeah.
coming off like I am not excited about the current thing.
Right.
And I hate that because I am.
Yes.
It's just we've been with the current thing for so long that
Yeah.
my excitement energy has kind of moved on to the next thing.
Right.
Which I hate to come off like that because it's not that I'm not dismissing.
No, it's
Kind of what you said about, like, oh no, I'm in the middle of it, so I don't want to sound like I'm.
I know, and that's kind of that's a perfect explanation of like what it is, because you're, it's almost like a relationship where you're like, you're pumped about it, in the beginning, and then it goes through like seasons of like, like I'm still excited about this, but we're kind of in the middle of it right now, and then
Yep.
one day like some things come together, and you're like, yeah,
It's amazing.
that's why we did this, you know. And then at the end, you're like, yes,
That is so funny.
I'm excited. Like, I'm excited all over. Like, I know when we premiere it, I'll have, it'll be like a whole other level of excitement all over again.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so, and excited for the actors and actresses. And
yeah, dude.
another reason I'm trying to get it out before the end of the year is because Emily, our lead actress, is currently with child.
I thought so. Yeah.
And is due on January 1st.
Oh,
so
shit.
I'd love to have
You want her to come to the.
I'd love to have a premiere and have them come. The
Yeah.
actors get before she has her baby.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good.
which was also we found it's. Oh my God! Now I'm like, is it? Yeah, they made an announcement. I'd be in big ass trouble if they hadn't made an announcement.
I would
yet.
say they have, considering
They
they're
have. They have.
they're in their third trimester.
Yes,
pretty much.
they have. And yeah. So, but we found out while filming that Emily was pregnant, and so I was like, okay, well,
Let's work this in.
which the last scene that we're gonna film actually is gonna tie that in.
Beautiful,
which I'm
dude.
really excited
Dude,
about.
see, it's like a beautiful.
I know, but
happy.
but also like there were parts of it where it's like, okay, the script didn't have you with child, so we need to hurry up and film this now. Like, so I was like, are you guys available next week? When you guys like, they were probably getting tired of me because I was like,
Yeah.
when can you guys film? And they they're so sweet, and they understood. Like, they were like, yeah, like, we get it. And then and then like, you know, Emily got COVID, then I got COVID.
yes,
Like
yeah.
it was, I don't know if that's going to trigger your podcast now, the C word too. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
part of reality.
It's the world we live in.
Yep.
You know, so, and those were like some of the, you know, some of those difficulties of like
Getting through all
having a production is like, okay, well, you know, we're not going to shoot this week, and then I got it, and then I was like, okay, guys, we're off for the next week and a half because
I mean, it's just been.
I have it now. It's just been a reality of like doing creative work. I mean, I don't know
And
if
working
you've
around all of it.
encountered some of that too, where it's just like you gotta. I mean, in scheduling and producing is the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I learned anything, it'd be, I think, on the next big thing I do, I'm definitely gonna hire somebody to produce it, because I was the producer also. So I was like scheduling shoot time, scheduling things, and I was just like, oh,
That's a whole nother mess to
my
juggle.
gracious, like,
Yep.
I need somebody else to do this, and that was your fault, Thomas. You know, but you learn, like, you know, I know that.
And now you know how to do it. So the next person you
Yes.
hire or work with to do it, you're gonna know what they're going through.
Right. I mean, because I'm sure we'll be like hand in hand of
Right.
like, you know, okay, this is like the traditional, like, I wrote it, directed it, filmed it, produced it. I'm glad I'm not making the music for it, because that would
Be a whole nother.
Oh my God. But, you know, it's like the first, like, I've never done anything this big. I mean, it's like my first big boy, like, attempt at a film. So
It's awesome, dude.
I'm really excited about it. Like,
I am too.
think it'll be cool, and like visually, what I've seen so far, like the camera didn't jam up. You know, everything came through like fairly well.
God, that's always a big thing with film too. You shoot it, and then months later you get to see what it looks
know.
like, or
You
weeks
don't-
later or whatever.
Like, you shoot something, and on average, you don't know what it looked like for another 2 weeks. And
That's if you go send it off.
right
away, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because typically it's like a week and a half to 2 week turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
But I send it to a place in California, which sounds really exotic, but the mail moves fast these days. And yeah, and then they scan it and give you back a digital copy, and it's like, you know, it's pretty cool, like what you would get from like a digital camera.
Yep.
Like, you can get it like 4K scan, or, you know, but I mean, it's really kind of crazy. But a lot of people have been like shooting with film a lot more recently too.
I know it.
Like, a lot of movies. Well, there are a lot of movies that still shoot on film, but there are a lot of like TV shows that have been like,
Really.
yeah, that have been like there was a popular show that came out this year on HBO called Euphoria.
Okay.
I don't know if you'd heard
I don't know about it.
But that girl Zendaya, who
Yes, I do know about it.
She's
now.
in
Gotcha.
like Spider-Man and stuff like that.
She was a Disney girl growing up.
Yeah. Well, she's like the lead actress in this series, and it's a pretty heavy show. It talks about like drug addiction and like all kinds of stuff. But they shot they've had 2 seasons, and they shot the entire second season on film of a TV show. So like 8-hour-ish long episodes. I'm like, how much film did they probably had to go through so much film.
Yeah.
And there are I don't have a very big film camera. So there are film cameras that can hold my camera only holds 100 feet of film, which is not much. So there are cameras that hold big old canisters of it where you can, the big boy movies where you can shoot a lot more on. But
it's like a tape recorder for a recording studio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's still I still could not even imagine shooting a TV show on it. Is just crazy. But it's become more out there, and I think because people are wanting to tell more authentic stories where I don't want to go too far down this rabbit trail, but I think people are just getting digital fatigue with how easy you can do things these days, where it's I could take my iPhone here and snap 500 pictures of you in the next minute here.
Yeah.
And 30 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, you couldn't do that. I think there's been a resurgence in it. Well, Kodak film, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, they were on the brink of bankruptcy. And now you can't, they're for instance, for the Factors film, because the Kodak makes movie film too.
Okay.
And we shot this film on Kodak motion picture film. The kind of film that I needed, I could not find in America. I had to order it from Australia. And it's because there's been such a supply and demand of people are wanting to shoot on film more, because it's more authentic. It's more there are little mistakes and inconsistencies that happen that I think people are realizing. Yes, you could use a filter and do that, but there's I think just people are trying to find ways to be more authentic in their storytelling
in every way.
And film has just been one of those avenues where there are a ton of people shooting on film now again, because it's just a look that you can't replicate. And it's been kind of tried and true for all these 100 years.
Yeah.
It just I don't know. I think people are just kind of over the
the staleness of a digital.
Yeah, sometimes,
not that it's all stale, but
it's like you were talking about earlier, having hundreds of options for making something, while there's a part of our brain that says this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's not always I think humans are simple creatures, and it's I think we actually, I'm speaking for myself. I think I create best when I have parameters, when there are walls put up
that define.
Yes.
Yeah.
That it's I have one roll of film left today, and it has 2 minutes and 30 seconds on it. So guys,
let's make this count.
We have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to make this happen.
Yeah.
Are you guys game? Let's do it. Let's do it. And there's something about that for me, maybe this might be a good area to kind of start landing the plane on our talk. Is like, there's something about that I think humans and artists create best, like when there actually is a box, when there, like I said, where there's parameters, where there are like challenges that you have to overcome, as opposed to here's a studio with anything and everything you need, you've got it. If you think about like, this is why I love watching like behind the scenes things on films and on music too. I know I keep bringing it back to music, but like, if you pull the lid off of any classic song, I guarantee you there's going to be some crazy story where they're like, you hear that echo right there?
Yeah.
That wasn't planned. Yeah. That was from something that just that wasn't supposed to happen that day. I remember, this is super random. I remember like Steven Tyler from Aerosmith talking about, I think it's the song Sweet Emotion.
Okay.
There's a part at the beginning of it where they're playing this like shaker kind of thing that has this kind of like tingy sound.
Okay.
And there's a part at the beginning of it where it goes and kind of rattles off.
Yeah.
He said that he was like playing the shaker rattle thing and it broke and fell on the ground. And the sound of that, they said everything else in the take was so good, they just decided to leave it in the track.
That's beautiful.
But it was because this like rattle thing literally broke.
Yes.
And like, I love that kind of stuff where it's like,
dude, me too. Those happy accidents make it what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And today, like, you might have a producer that's like, oh, we need like, let's do it again. Perfect. I think perfect is overrated.
The name, just to do a little shameless plug. The name Wally Opus is the word Wally was, like, I researched a word that means like it's perfect because of its imperfections.
Ooh,
like its blemishes and its rawness or wherever it comes from.
Yeah.
And that makes sense in a creative world. I don't know if that makes sense when you're like building a car or something where you're like, it needs to be safe.
Yeah. I mean, but like, there are things in life that it's like, I want this to be perfect.
Right.
But,
like, I don't want to hire somebody to build my house and it's like the imperfections make it. Like, I don't think necessarily that's what I mean, but like,
the foundation is so.
Yeah. They're like, no, that's what it.
No, dog. Let's make sure it's perfect.
Yes. And I had found this old Scottish word, Wally, where that it meant like something that was like a little just wonky. Like it was, but it was good, but it like,
makes me think of wobbly, but not. But something that's wobbling is like not falling over. It's just kind of...
It's got a thing to it. Yeah. It's like, that kind of leans a little bit. That or whatever,
It draws your interest.
Yes.
You're like,
Yeah. I like something that's perfect, but it's got something going that like draws you in. It's like, I don't really get...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's got something weird. It's not perfect.
I like that, dude. I like that.
Okay, so let's wrap it up. But I got one segment I want to do. Okay. So it's called "Don't Think, Just Act." So I'm gonna say 10 terms, names, ideas, whatever.
Okay.
You tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
This could be bad. Okay.
So storytelling.
Authenticity.
Love it. Favorite film all time.
Interstellar is the first one that came.
I was thinking that one earlier when you were talking about taking the music out of a film,
dude.
Because he does take the music out sometimes, and it's beautiful.
I know,
but that's like an opposite
side chunk. I think that is like the soundtrack to Interstellar will like. It gives me like goosebumps every time.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god,
it's cinematic in itself.
Good. Oh, it's so good.
That when I used to teach, that was an example of I would bring up the behind the scenes of how they recorded the different, like how Hans Zimmer recorded the different live organs in this church, and like then they love the sound of the church so much they bring in like the string players and stuff to do all the crazy.
Dude, Hans Zimmer's a boss, man.
Boss. All right, Eric DeLong.
Best laugh.
That's beautiful. I've never met.
Did you
Eric.
throw? Was that part of it, or
Dude, it was like when you brought him up earlier. I'm like, oh,
no way, dude! I have to shout him out. Yeah, like I ought to tell him we did this.
Favorite project you've worked on? What's the first one that came?
I'm gonna say this one, the Factors one.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I would say, I was thinking when I wrote
hold
that.
on, the Strangers documentary with Wally Opus Records.
Yeah.
Produced by Wes Luttrell.
And if Cooper's listening to you, it's...
Oh, yeah. And the Cooper... Yeah, whoever I'm working with right now. This is my favorite project.
I was thinking when I wrote that, because I ask everybody like similar questions, but I was thinking, I think my answer would probably be like the one I'm working on.
Yeah, yeah.
Favorite project.
And like the short film it's my baby right now. So
right.
It's like I've put so much of me into it. It's my my favorite right now. Yeah.
Makes sense. Being a father.
Ooh. I think honesty. Just being honest with who I am, who they are, like helping them navigate their feelings and who they are as young men. And my son turns 10 on Monday.
Wow.
Which is, I know they're just supposed to be one-word answers, but good luck getting that from Thomas Bernardin. But yes,
that's
so
awesome,
honesty.
Yeah. I love that, dude. That's great. Okay, Idol.
Billy Idol.
Dude,
I just said that.
You're the third person who's said that.
Are you serious?
No.
Yeah.
You might be the second, though. I think Lucas from The Strangers said that, too.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, I'm going to keep that answer then.
Okay,
Because
beautiful.
Lucas said Billy Idol. Cool.
You're headed to a shoot. You only get one camera. What's your camera of choice?
Ooh. I'm gonna say hopefully it'd be a shoot that I could be shooting my film camera on.
So hopefully you have backup rolls.
Backup rolls, which is the shout out Russian camera, the Krasnogorsk 3.
Beautiful.
That's what it's called. It's
Beautiful.
a Russian camera, and I think
That's what you use for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And it's a wind. It's a beautiful. It's a wind. So it has a wind up motor. There are no batteries, no electricity. So you wind it up to get this tension until the tension stops, and then when you hit the shutter, it just releases it. Oh, and that's another parameter on the camera and the short film that we shot. The longest take that I could ever do is 30 seconds on the camera, because that's the biggest.
So even if
up.
your roll of film is 2 minutes and 30 seconds, you have to stop.
The camera will like if you get a full wind on it, it will only go 30 seconds. So had to make it in like 30-second increments too, which talk about another barrier. That's
a cool. I'm glad to know some of this going into seeing it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Most memorable moment on a shoot.
Oh man.
What's one that comes to mind?
Oh, I don't know. There are like so many moments like over the years. Okay, I'll just use something recent that happened because it's more recent. Like on the video or on the film that we did with Cooper, I still forget stuff and don't do things right all the time. So I brought my boom because I wanted to boom mic him. Mm-hmm. I brought my boom mic. I brought the pole, brought all the audio, blah blah blah. I forgot the stand. So, and we were in a groove, we were flowing, and I was just like, what about that ladder over there? So we just pulled a ladder over, and I got some gaff tape and like rigged up the ladder where it's just like over, balancing like through one of the legs. And I was like,
I hope somebody took a photo.
I think I have a picture of it.
Okay, sweet.
And I was like, dude, I know this looks unprofessional as hell, but I think it'll work. I'm cool. And he's like, I'm cool with it if you are. I'm like, let's go.
Perfect.
Let's go. Like, that's awesome. So for me, it's actually always things that don't go right. And then you have to like figure out on the fly, like, oh man, what are we going to do? You know? And then you always think of something like, or you come up with something. It doesn't always look awesome, but
it's resourceful and it gets the job done.
Yeah. Like it makes you use your brain of like, we got to figure this out. And I think that's what I love about it in general the most is like, it's all just like problem solving, trying to figure things out.
Yep.
So Cooper, sorry we had
Cooper leaning ladder. All right, 16 millimeter or 4K. I feel like I kind of know the answer, but
16.
Yeah.
Dog,
After this conversation, I think I know the answer.
4K is cool, but yeah.
Dead or alive, someone you drink a beer with. You'd like to drink a beer with.
Ooh.
Anybody, dead or alive. You're going to have a nice convo. You're going to just relax and ask them just cool questions.
I mean, somebody alive, they're still alive. I think I'd say Christopher Nolan, who I mentioned Interstellar earlier.
Yes,
He's
director of Interstellar.
Anybody that doesn't know, director of Interstellar. He's done like The Batman Begins, Dark Knight, all that stuff.
What's that other one with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Inception.
And
like Tenet.
Yeah.
Which I've watched 3 times and I still don't understand it.
See, I've never even seen it. I know what you're talking about, though.
But I would love to just ask him about like his. I just think his like directing and like his writing is just so insanely beautiful because it's like you have to get to the end of his film to be like, oh my gosh, that's what that meant at the beginning. It's all like threaded and tied together, which I love, and so yes.
Well, when I was listening, just a short aside about that. Then we got to wrap it up. But I was listening to him discuss, Hans Zimmer said that when Christopher Nolan came to him, the first bit of information was he said it's about a father and a child's relationship. That's what the movie's about. So
Interstellar.
Yeah, when you think about Interstellar, and Christopher or Hans Zimmer said at first I thought he was talking about like a son and a father. Then he's like, I realized it's a daughter and a father.
Yeah.
And then when you think about the movie, you're like, it is about a father and a daughter's relationship.
Yeah.
You think it's a space movie, but
I've never thought
just
about.
Takes place in that.
I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Before.
So that was the emotional center that he wanted Hans Zimmer to compose from.
Yes.
Because Hans Zimmer has kids, so he's like, I was thinking about my relationship with my sons.
Right.
Or whatever he said. All right.
Makes sense.
Let's wrap this bad boy up. Where can people find you? Mostly.
Yeah, they can find me on the social medias. I probably post the most on Instagram, which is just Thomas Bernardin on Instagram, and then also my website where you can find examples of my work. And then,
go check out. It's cool. You got all your. Thanks. I was on there yesterday. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh,
boom.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thomasbernardinfilm.com.
Beautiful.
I used to have thomasbernardin.com and I lost it.
Oh shit!
And then they were like, "We want all this money to get back," and I was like, "Nope, I'm not doing
can't
it."
do it. They're holding it hostage.
If you go, you can find all my socials and usually on Instagram. I have Twitter, but I don't ever really post anything there. But
likewise. So one more just comment.
Sure.
I don't know if I ever got to tell you this, but we premiered the film that you made for us at Noah's benefit concert in Santa Claus. With his family was there, the band's families were there.
Yeah.
We were all there. A lot of the people in the community came out. Some people of the school came out. It was a beautiful night of music. Noah's friend that he started his first band with played with the Strangers for a couple songs. Another one of their friends played. But between the Strangers set, the opening set and the Strangers set, I came out on stage and I unveiled the vinyl record, which we made.
Okay, yep.
Talked about how Noah was a big part of it. And I said,
yes.
And we made a film with local filmmaker Thomas Bernardin. I said, I gave you a plug and talked about the process of making it. and then we played the film, and dude, you could hear sniffling, you could hear, could hear laughter, you could hear it, but basically that was that night and that moment was the, I think it was the honoring moment, like the honoring, not, it was definitely the closing of a chapter of the stranger's story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Showing it to everybody they had not seen it, the families. It was a huge moment.
I think I was sadly out of town.
You were in Montana or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there for that, but I never heard how it went, so I'm glad that
it was a beautiful moment though. We all watched it. I mean, I was super emotional watching it because like I had seen leading up to that night, I had watched it 10, 15 times because you had sent, I had just had it for a couple weeks, but and showing people, but to see it on the big screen and to know the context that it was in at that moment with all the families around and being a night of remembering Noah. And then at the end, it's Noah's picture and we say live on the music and it shows him a couple times. That night was and then that documentary itself and then the record, it's like, it encapsulates a big part of their story, and it really, Noah will live on forever in the music and in that documentary. But it helped. I know it helped everybody.
Oh man,
heal and grow and let it be.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. That's I don't.
It was great.
I don't know what to say about that, but yeah, it's. Yeah.
It was just a film you made, but dude, it had a huge impact. So.
And sometimes it does just feel like another thing you're doing, and you just let it be said, like, we don't know the impact that we have on people and the things that we create, the impact that they have and leave on people. And even with no, exactly. Noah will forever live on, like as being part of the Strangers, but also like having those drum tracks, and that you guys choosing to have that be the drum tracks on the record, and like that'll forever be like a part of his legacy and the band's legacy and going on, and so yeah.
And I think it was a huge healing process being in that. Kind of like what we talked about earlier, doing the film and stuff. Helped everybody in it. Because when I watch the film now, when I look back, it lives on all of our websites. It lives on other EPK. It tells their story.
Yeah.
It's 6 months old, but it's really relevant still.
Yeah.
And when I look back at it now, I'm like, this was not an intentional healing tool, but it is it's been a healing tool. So
good. That warms my spirit.
Good. Well, we'll send off on that. Thomas,
awesome.
Thank you for being on the podcast. It was great. I'm glad to hear some insight about you and share some artist dialogue and shared experience in the software and in the different processes. So that's what this podcast is all about. I want to get in there digging for that gold. That's what we're mining for. So
perfect.
So thank you, man.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. And the music starts.
Dude, awesome. Oh my gosh.